slide over. I don't know. Thank you. You're live, Mike.
Thank you. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Finance for the Town of Somers on this May 28th, 2024. We have Paul Hart present, Bruce Devlin, Kathy Devlin, and Mike Parker. We have our two finance experts, Mike Marinaccio and Brian Wissinger, the CFO. We don't have a Board of Ed report tonight, I guess, because of their movement of the meeting, their movement from Monday to Tuesday. But Tim, if you have a report.
Thank you.
These things on.
No, well, that one. Yeah.
Good evening. Just got a couple things to mention. I know on your agenda is the Stafford ALS issue, and we'll talk about that, I think, separately, right? Okay. First of all, with regards to the old Somersville Mill site, even though it's very complex and we're dealing with Department of Housing, the Connecticut Finance Housing Authority, the DECD, the DEEP, and you know, I'm not saying this derogatorily, but it's really bureaucratic when you get to all those people. So Mike and I worked on a letter 2 weeks ago to send to the Department of Housing Commissioner, just to say, hey, we're really stymied by the process. You know, Wynn is just not willing to spend $1 million if they don't have a good feeling that they're going to be competitive. They're either going to win the contract or win CHFA Housing Authority financing. And I don't blame them. So we need a clearer path. So the commissioner quickly got back to me and said, let's set up a meeting. So the meeting is tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to do, but we're doing everything we can to try to keep this thing together and keep it moving forward. And as I said before, I think that if we can't succeed with wind development, we're not going to make it with anybody. I mean, I can tell you right now, just it's not worth the effort. These guys are very first class. They've built a lot of apartment units. They're well known. They've built units in many cities in Connecticut and throughout New England. And they're pretty sharp, too. Okay, that's one subject. Next one is we were successful in the legislature obtaining 3 acres that we requested at the Bilton Road Department of Prisons. We basically asked for 3 of their 457 acres to be able to put up a tower to be used for communications, primarily for response, fire response, communications with the prison. That was part of the sales pitch, which is true. And we were able to be successful, thank you much to our 2 legislators, our senator and our representative, as well as our lobbyists that we've been working with to try to, I mean, it seems rather simple to ask for 3 acres and we're willing to pay for it and there's no controversy and it's going to enhance communications of a safety, there's a safety element and a response element connected to it, directly affects positively the prison. And it's just trying to get through the legislative process, particularly when your state rep and state senator are Republicans, very much in the minority. It's amazing that we got this through. And of course, we have to pay fair market value for it, which we're aware of. And they're still trying to work that out. I think that could happen sometime in the next few weeks.
Yeah, the state's going to do 2 different appraisals on it. 2 different appraisal companies look at it and determine what the fair market value is. And they will let us know, and we'll have to.
They've been paying pilot money. That should be the value of the property, whatever the rate is. Why do you spend money on
Well, the good news is, once the tower's built, we can hang things on it.
Yeah.
Rent them.
laundry and things?
Well, we don't want to do, you don't want to say personal things. We might have some laundry out there. But again, it will be somewhat of a revenue source, I think, once it's up, besides being significantly effective in improving communications throughout the town of Summers. So that, wanted to mention that. Another thing that the legislators and the lobbyists are helpful on is this whole Governor's Bond Commission. Now, as you know, we've requested, I think, $6.3 million
6.6.
from the Bond Commission is half of the cost of the community center should one be built. And Summers has never been on the Bond Commission ever before. This is something the governor runs himself or herself personally. It's very, very political, needless to say. But I think we're moving in the right direction. The meeting, I think, is next Friday, is what you said?
The 31st.
And they called and asked me whether we could have a referendum first before it had to go before the Bond Commission. And I said, it's not going to happen. We need to have the support of the Bond Commission to make it contingent upon the positive referendum. That's what we need. We're very interested, needless to say, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that it's on the agenda when they meet on Friday, next Friday. And the fourth thing I have is just the fire chief selection process is something that's been ongoing now for about 3 weeks. We've got a very deliberate process. I think it's very much respected by the people in the fire department. They're getting the kind of attention they are. And we expect to be done with the process in 2 to 3 weeks. We'll know who the next fire chief is going to be. And I think it's a very positive process, and I'm optimistic that we're going to do well.
How many people applied?
8. Yeah. 1 dropped out, and then asked if he could get back in, and we let him back in, and he dropped out again. So, so that's all I have. Any questions?
No. Thanks very much.
Hope it works.
Yeah, I'll just stay here when we talk about the Stafford situation.
Do you want to talk about Stafford now?
Sure, that'd be great.
Is that all right with you?
So,
Yes, fine with me.
yep, we've, of course, been meeting with Stafford for a long time on this subject. And the subject is, again, providing ALS response to Stafford because Stafford has no capacity on their own to provide advanced life support ambulance response, which can be life-saving and can definitely, not just life-saving, but significantly enhance the opportunities for the patients because of the testing they can do, the information they can send forward to the hospital when the ambulance gets there, so they know who's coming in and what the problem is, and it saves a lot of time. So it's, and by the way, it's a service, of course, that was initiated here in Summers by John Roach. I mean, he started the service, 6 or 7 years ago.
6 years ago.
And he himself became qualified to be an ALS responder. That may be good or bad, but depends on how you look at that, because when he was responding to it, he wasn't the chief at the fire station. But it provided, we've done such a good job putting together an ALS program here in Summers that everybody else admires it and wants to use it. That's the problem. So, and Stafford has taken that problem to the max because they've gotten so comfortable with our responding to their ALS needs that they have not gone out of their way to do the heavy lifting it takes to create an ALS program to begin with. And I'm not sure they'll be able to do that ever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it requires not only significant training of personnel and finding the people to train to begin with, but it also requires backing it up with the right equipment that you have to have and spending a lot of money. And so again, we met with them in March and April this year. Primarily met with the first selectman, his finance director, and the chief of Stafford Ambulance, which is a private organization. And we went back and forth. Brian did a lot of the legwork, the background work. They would never be able to do it, I can tell you. They just don't, I don't think they really understand as much as they need to understand.
Yeah.
And even though Bill Morrison is, the deputy fire chief in West Stafford, knows a lot about fire and response, he does not know that much about this whole ALS issue. And it's from their perspective, it's nothing but it's going to cost more money, and it's going to take them many years to develop a program if they decide to go that route. And of course, we've got Trinity Healthcare is involved as well. Well, the good news is, was it this last week or the week before?
Yeah, can I just?
Oh, please do, yeah.
So to distill this, there's two agreements we have with Stafford. One's a bundled billing agreement, which is for $150. That's for Medicare, Medicaid. The only service we provide to Stafford is ALS Intercept. That's the fly car, brings a paramedic over the mountain. He hops into Stafford ambulance. They go to the hospital, and then we get paid $150 for our paramedic, who is worth at least $900. That is one agreement. The other agreement we had was for them to help us defray the costs of providing them the service. And we went back and forth with them for quite a while, determining what they thought was, or what we could agree upon, was an agreement where they would reimburse us. So in the process that Tim is talking about, they approached us and said, we have a new proposal for you. We want to do away with the bundle billing agreement, and we want to do away with the other agreement, and we'll pay you $300 a call.
400.
400.
Yeah, 400.
They were
400.
They were going to pay us.
They were going to pay us $300
They were going to
originally
pay
for
us.
bundle billing.
They were going to pay us $300 a call.
No, $200 they offered. We wanted $300.
Right. So
Yeah, they wanted $200 a call flat rate.
Brian does all the analysis.
Actually, go ahead.
It was a loser.
The more you respond, the more
It took us 2 days
more
to
money
figure
we
out
lose.
that
So
they were offering us less money than they were currently paying.
Yeah. So Brian reached out.
What's wrong with that picture?
To an attorney who specializes in ALS, and has actually represented the hospital, Trinity, and understands the whole process. We had a consultation, and I believe now we've actually signed an engagement letter with this attorney, who's basically told us for us to come up with a new
We'll draft a new agreement and propose it to Stafford.
And propose it to Stafford. If Stafford does not agree to our new agreement, we essentially can do anything we want to do without.
She reaffirmed and convinced us what we wanted to do was we could do it, and we could be legally defensible action.
We have all kinds of options, all the way up to terminating service without any negative legal impact, which we were never led to believe that in the past. But we now know where we can, what we can do when we negotiate. This is all going to be done by July 1st.
Yeah, this woman is truly an expert, and she was a joy to talk to. I mean,
So you feel as though you'll have an agreement drafted, ready to present to them by sometime?
I'd say by the second week.
Second week of June is our goal.
And we'll be willing, we'll sit down with them, we'll go over it, and we'll ask them for their response within a week to 10 days. And then we know what our options are from then if they turn it
Then
down.
we can
I mean, we've
Choose our
been
route.
locked into this circular argument with them for months, where you think it's going to work out, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work out. It's a very frustrating cycle, and there's only so much you can take. So
Hey, Tim, how has it been being one paramedic down with Chief gone?
It's actually, we're advertising for another paramedic.
because Bob Wheeler retired as well.
Also, Bob Wheeler, was also a paramedic, so we're down 2, actually.
Down
And
to
it could be down 3.
Well, if they don't go along with this, you could afford to be down 3 or 4 without.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure I would say 3 or 4, but
Well, certainly, we'll be able to right-size what we're going to be
Right,
doing.
we'll be able to scale our
The
department to
last
what we
time
need for
we
our
talked
department.
about this, you thought that, I don't know which one of you said it to me, but it was about 3 people that we had because we were servicing Stafford.
Yep, because we were running 2 medics a day at minimum, sometimes 3 medics a day if the chief was on. And most of that staffing was to make sure, I mean, when 40% of your calls are going over the hill, you got to make sure you're staffed for that.
and we got to make sure we retain the very positive fact that we want to have a good, strong ALS system here in Summers. We've
I
always-
don't mind
we've always
paying
wanted
for
that.
an ALS system here in Summers.
No, I know, but you be careful you don't
I
throw
do
the
mind.
baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Really.
No, we,
That's the whole morale issue, and
the ALS program is great. We're actually going to sit down and meet and discuss part of our proposal. You know, our proposal that will get drafted and sent to Stafford. Input from the fire department will be part of that. The current, the interim chief and the 2 deputy chiefs will be invited in, and we're going to get their input on.
Yeah.
You know, where do you see this going? What do you want to, you know, how much do you want to put into this? Because a lot of what we're hearing is that people don't want to be going all over, all hours of the night to everywhere but Summers. And I can honestly say I can't blame them.
From my perspective, I've always viewed this as purely a financial issue. It has nothing to do with the fire department in terms of their training, their execution,
Right.
their performance. It's fine. What it is Stafford won't pay us for what it's due.
Yep.
It's a financial issue, pure and simple, I think.
Well,
I
is
know
it-
it's not simple, but
don't
it's.
forget they're a service organization too. And, you know, I mean, they provide services that are critical, that save lives. And don't ever forget that. So that's who the people are that we're talking about that provide this. So this is very important to them as individuals. But that doesn't mean we're going to keep an extra 3 or 4 people just so we can service Stafford. We're not going there.
Right, if they're not going to pay for it.
If they're not going to
Exactly.
pay us.
How many paramedics do you think we need if we are theoretically going to be serving Summers primarily with an occasional out of town?
It's hard to say because we also have part-time paramedics.
Okay,
We have full-time and part-time,
okay.
probably somewhere in the 5 or 6 ranges.
And so the full-time guys work 24 hours on and then 72 off. Your part-timers work 12-hour shifts when they come on.
In the
I mean-
drafting of this agreement, or in the preparation of this agreement, are we going to start out with the notion that we're trying to recover our costs?
Absolutely.
That's been our position from the
Absolutely.
start.
I mean,
That's why it's so frustrating for them to come back and offer us less money than we currently receive, which is way too little to begin with. It's like, what are you talking about?
So they want-
We're not even sure they understand what they're talking about.
They want out of the agreement July 1. They owe us from January to June right now for this year. They haven't paid us.
I just, I know that it's not our lane to be drafting the agreement or to prepare the proposed agreement, but I do think that our advice, at least my advice would be, let's try to get our costs.
You're preaching to the choir on this
Yeah,
one.
absolutely.
We are all in
Yeah.
unanimity on this one. And we're going into this exactly the way you're thinking. We want the money on this.
And this attorney that we've engaged is so positive and and so knowledgeable, and she can tell us what we can do and what we can't do. which
It's
is
not
what
the first
we've
one she's
always
done,
needed to
so
know.
it's, it's not her first rodeo.
And we have been fed a lot of smoke and mirrors and fog in the past on this,
Yeah.
and been misled on a lot of things, whether it's intentional or unintentional, I'm not sure. But I'm pretty confident now with this attorney on board that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who the attorney
Her
is?
name is Erica
Erica Nolan.
Nolan. Yeah. She's excellent. And she's on vacation until the 3rd of June.
Yeah,
And then
until next
she's
Monday.
available. So we expect to get an agreement given to us next week. And
but it sounds great.
All right, well, good luck.
Yeah,
But
I wish it would work.
I won't preach to the choir, but I want to hear you sing.
Great, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.
Brian, do you have an update?
The only other thing I have is that, assuming the rest of the agenda goes to plan, the auditors will be on site beginning Monday, June 3rd.
Okay.
They anticipate to be on the town side just that Monday, and then at the school, I believe, on Wednesday, and leaving a day in there in case they need to pop back in for other items, but pretty doubtful with the way everything runs with technology now. I mean, they've already given us the selections, we were pulling everything, and it's being uploaded to their secure site so that they can review it before they even get here on Monday, so should be a pretty seamless process. Yeah. That's it. Other than that.
Next thing is the approval of your suspense list.
Suspense list, yes. Our tax collector has submitted the recommendation to transfer uncollected property taxes to the suspense book in the amount of $22,745.30. These are taxes that these are people that we can no longer locate or they've passed away.
They didn't leave us anything in the will.
They didn't leave us in the will, unfortunately.
Would you like
So
to
all it
make
really
a
does
motion?
is take it, it doesn't make it uncollectible, it just takes it off of the active
Yep.
collection list. We do still try to collect it, we'll still send, we'll still attempt to locate people via the marshal, via software, and by collection agencies, so we will still try to collect it until it meets its statutory limit and then gets written off.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfer of the uncollected property taxes to the suspense tax book.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Yeah, I gotta get you to sign it when it's done. Mike. Oh, you already signed it? I'll switch pages with you then. I'll switch pages with you then.
Do we have an engagement letter to,
Yep, audit engagement letter is in here.
how much did they go up this year?
The
We're in the wrong
increase
business, Mike.
was about 1,500, and it was solely on Board of Education side. They were 3,500 last year. This year, it's 5,000 for the Board of Ed is really the only increase.
55 total.
Yeah.
Just to get it on the table, I'd like to make a motion to approve the engagement letter from Mahoney Stables for the audit.
Second. Paul Hart, second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Perfect. Yep.
Last page.
And I'll get Tim to sign that tomorrow and scan it in.
What's next?
Oh, where are you?
Budget status, year-end projections.
What do you know, Brian?
So, expenditure-wise, I mean, everybody's either holding the line or just under it. Reached out to the Board of Education last week. They're anticipating returning about $10,000, which I find hard to believe.
$10,000?
Out of a $27.4 million budget.
Out of millions.
Who told them to do that?
Meanwhile, the town side is looking at returning about $173,000 out of the other $9 million that makes up the budget. So, we also have a large collection, over collection of revenues. So it does look like the return to fund balance will be somewhere in the $800,000 to $900,000 range, potentially higher depending on how the last few weeks of the fiscal year run out. But we seem to be in really good shape. So everything that we're budgeting next year, we're returning this year. So it's going to be basically neutral.
Where do you
With a
think
little
you
bit of
achieved the savings of 183?
Where do I think I achieved it? So Public Works, we originally, had budgeted all the fuel costs and so forth. We have not used as much fuel as we had anticipated. Public safety, there's been some savings in both fire and police when it comes to public safety. It's really about, where it kind of boils down to. It's just that the state doesn't tell us until September what we're going to pay for the state trooper.
Got it.
We're budgeting it in February. We're guessing what it'll increase, but you never know. We had thrown in extra because they had to do the accreditation work and so forth, and early estimates were, $30,000, $40,000 to do the work. Then we ended up partnering with Stafford and Ellington, I believe, are the two towns that partnered with us, and we hired one company to do all three of our accreditations, and it ended up costing us about $8,000 instead of $40,000, because the cost was shared, and at that point it became like copy and paste. So there was definitely savings in
Good. Not questions yet.
Yeah, and then on the revenue side, we received more state aid than we had anticipated in multiple categories. Bank interest has been off the charts. We had budgeted 175, and it looks like we might hit 600. We collected 100% of property taxes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good, thank you. Nothing to approve there.
Anything else?
No,
What's the appropriation request?
Yep, so last Thursday, the Board of Selectmen voted to recommend to the Board of Finance to approve the appropriation for a transfer to separation payout of $62,001.33 to cover the
The departure of.
sick and
the fire
vacation payout of our former fire chief. If the Board of Finance approves it, it'll go back to the Selectmen to set a town meeting date.
Any questions? Have a motion, Bruce, to that effect?
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appropriation of separation payout for a former fire chief.
$62,001.33, is that right?
is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
And second?
I second.
You got it.
We're rotating seconds tonight.
Okay. Any questions, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. Any other business?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
I think you should.
All right,
You feel strong tonight?
I do.
A second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 23rd, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
You do that.
Before
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of 5/21/2024 special meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So Mom wants to take Joe's.
I don't know. Are you up to it?
All right, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I hear a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, Tim.
Also, we come